Being taught for 20 years of your life to work for the next 40 to 50 is pretty fucking insane. The perpetual cycle of going to 9 to 5 and only being able to enjoy the weekends is pretty fucking crazy if you think about it. It's kind of like imagine growing up, going to school and learning how to trap yourself in a cage in the most effective way possible. Like, how does that make any sense, right? But let's stop here for a second and try to understand why are they teaching us all this? Because we've been doing this for ages, right? Our parents, their parents, their parents as well, and so on. They've all been teaching us this, right? The previous generation have been teaching the next to go and find a job, make some money, and live a happy life, right? The reason why they did this is basically the safety net, right? Now, what is that safety net? Well, it's just you spend your life working, right? Like in some cases, your entire life at one company and get some money back. You effectively trade your time for money with the promise of being able to retire in your 60s and only then being able to enjoy your life. You trade your prime years, right, for the promise of being happy later. I'd argue the reason why we're all born, right, like the reason for life, to get a little philosophical here, is to bring some kind of value to this world. Think like a YouTuber showing his audience a country or a place, or a TikToker giving away machetes to homeless people, right? Or even like the simplest thing, right? Like a child wanting to bring a smile to his mother's face. Like to that child at that moment, that thing, like doing that thing is bringing the value. Now, the reason why we're all working in the first place is so that we can all put the food on the table, right? We trade time for money, or food in this case, right? Trade time to give somebody value so that we can get food, which is the outcome. It's that simple. The reason why I think the modern education system is not that good is because when you think about it, we're all being taught how to do useless shit. Think of the Pythagoras, fucking, I don't know how to even pronounce his name, theorem, right, with the triangle shit. But the thing is, I don't think we're being taught one of the most important things, which is that all of our lives revolve around money, right? So the outcome of some sort. But we're only being taught one way of reaching that outcome, which is to get a job. But the thing is, there are many ways of reaching that outcome. Think of it this way. Money is the outcome we get at the end, and the job is a method. So the thing I'm getting at the moment, right, is why are we not being taught multiple methods of reaching that outcome, right? Because there are many ways of actually reaching it. And the reality of this entire situation is the most successful people you're gonna find in life are the ones that have not followed the traditional paths, right? Like they kind of chose to do their own thing in a way that has not been taught in school. It's kind of like imagine the education system, and school in this case is like a worker factory. Yeah, it's like no matter your goals and what brings you happiness in life, you're being conditioned to become a factory worker from from the start, basically, right? Like you spawn in and you're sent to the factory so that the factory can condition you to become the most effective slave, right? It happens even if you think about it deeply, right? Like it happens even before you go to school at your home. So like I mentioned, right? Like we are all being taught by our parents and grandparents and all of that stuff. It's almost impossible to free yourself from that, right? Because always as it is in life, if you're being taught from the young age something, it's almost impossible to fight that. Because it feels like you're kind of fighting something that's been so deeply ingrained in your mind that it almost makes no sense, right? It's kind of why are you questioning the source of truth that has been passed on since the very beginning? But if you actually ask yourself these questions, it starts to make a little more sense, right? Coming back to the successful people here for a second though, I think we can define successful people as those who have reached insane amounts of money, allowing them to not work anymore. Think billionaires, right? But there's one particular thing about them, and it's that even though they have the unimaginable amounts of resources they still decide to work, right? Think about like Elon Musk or Taylor Swift, right? So there is something about them that keeps them working, even though there is no real reason for them to. So the reason why they keep working, right, is because they don't give a shit about money at this point, right? So why are we so hyper focused on money? If they work, because like I can bet my ass, right? Like they don't give a shit about money. Because imagine you're having a fuck ton of a certain resource. I would bet my left nutsack you would probably not care about getting any more of that resource. Think of it like you're playing a competitive game and you've reached the highest possible rank, right? Like at that point, you've already learned the ins and outs of that game, and it kind of like no longer makes any sense for you to play that game, right? Because there is no longer anything that you can do to make yourself even better at that game. So coming back to the billionaires here, right? I would think the reason why they put their ass out there and like actually grinding still at what they do is because all they care for is bringing the value to this world, right? And they all do it in their own way. But think about like Elon Musk back again, right? Without like getting into what do you think about him? Because like whatever. I think like his goal is to put people on Mars, like, you know, at the end of the day. So that's what he just wants to do, right? Just keep grinding on SpaceX and, you know, building all these companies and whatever. But like the end goal is to put people on the fucking other planet, bro. Or we can think about like Taylor Swift, right? Same thing. Billionaire. Literally could stop tomorrow. And yet she keeps doing music, right? Her own way of bringing value to people is just putting that artwork out there for people to appreciate. They're still doing it because they're on a mission, dude. They want us to get as much value as possible in their own ways. So what I'm getting at here is instead of hyper-focusing, like laser focusing on how to get money, we should shift our focus to how to bring the most amount of value to others. Instead of laser focusing on the outcomes, which is the, you know, money, we need to focus on the value we bring to maximize the amount of outcome we get. This will literally be the thing that, you know, A, brings us happiness in the long run, and B, brings us money anyway in the process. So instead of like bringing value, right, our time and skill or whatever, to a corporate world in order to get a safe outcome, money in this case, enough to keep us poor and keep working until retirement, why don't we shift our target and give value to somebody else to get the same outcome? If not even the bigger one, right? I mean, anything is possible, dude. Think of it like you're a landlord and you're housing a mother of three, and she tells you that she doesn't have money to pay the bills. So you shift her focus and tell her that you don't give a shit and you just want to see the money, right? When you think about like why we work in the first place, right? Again, it's because of that safety net that we get, right? You put time in, you get money out. But the thing is, nowadays that shit no longer makes any sense. Because these traditional ways of actually bringing value and earning money as an outcome no longer make they just don't work anymore. Think smart people, right? Engineers, lawyers, MIT grads. These people can no longer find jobs. So the thing is like, even if they did attempt to pursue their safety net and the regular path that the traditional ways have taught them to, it's like they can't even do the thing that they've been taught to, right? To find the job. And on the other hand, however, right, you've got the random kid in Cambodia making a living from like YouTube clips or some bullshit, right? Like trading stocks or something. Or some random ass fucking kid from Afghanistan making like Roblox maps or something and making like a bank from that, you know? Like you could literally make generational wealth from making Roblox maps, bro. This shit is really baffling. Because like, how is that even possible that you've got the smartest people out there, right? The fucking eggheads, like literally, working their ass off in like a university or a college or something. And some random ass kids make the same amount of money in like a week that they will make in their lifetimes, right? It's kind of funny how that works actually, because it does seem to be like the trend in that if you are like a smart person, you are statistically more likely to be trapped in a job. And that sort of makes sense, like if you think about it, right? That safety net is what like logically makes sense, right? But the thing is, it no longer makes any like sense, you know? The other thing is that like when you think about the the top of OnlyFans, right? I know it's like a small percentage, but there are girls at OnlyFans, right? They need no education. They just like start live, take care of themselves, start a fucking OnlyFans, bro, make millions. It's like when you think about bullshit like this, that shit is a little too unfair to be working 40 hours a week, right? For nothing, essentially. And so I guess the conclusion here, right, is the future is now, old man, right? Like the meme. Because like the old ways of making money have been patched, you know? But like I said, right, with the OnlyFans example, it's like the top 0.1%, if not even less, that actually make like good money off of that stuff, right? So it is true that making money online is also an uncertain path. But if you really think about it, the corporate job market is also an uncertain path, right? Like even if you wanted a job in the corporate world, it's like, especially with the AI shit, it's like these jobs are also no longer even opened at the scale that can support all the people that actually want that job, you know? And so it's kind of like at the end of the day between choosing an uncertain path versus choosing an uncertain path that's a little bit less uncertain, but a lot more punishing, right? In my mind anyways. I feel like at the end of the day, it all comes down to luck. And yeah, I feel like it's just sure, like both paths are uncertain, right? The corporate and the online making money thing. But the reality is, I feel like the making money online has a lot higher ceiling of what the outcome you can actually get is, right? So I feel like now is like the best time ever to start, to be honest. The AI will slowly start taking the creative jobs. AI already takes like non-creative jobs basically. And there's still some time before it actually takes the creative ones. So yeah. So to conclude this ramble, right? Jobs make no sense. Money is only the outcome. And the focus we should all have is to bring as much value as possible to the world. And as a result, it's going to bring us money as an outcome anyways. Because if you bring value to somebody, right? And they actually see value in what you're doing, then the opportunities will come. So if you've been sticking for this long in this video, God bless your heart, man. Drop a like, drop a comment, and thanks for watching, dude. Peace.